In advance of the Post Malone F1 Trillion album that's dropping this summer, here's the iHonky Tonk Top 10 all-time non-country artists making country western records list. So how do you feel about non-country artists making country albums? Is there anything better? Is there anything worse?
My friend, Mr. John Denver.
I went back and looked at what I think are the most honky-tonk, classic country, authentic, genuine, fucking kick-ass records that are worth checking out. Okay, here's the parameters by which I made this list. It won't include any alt-country, country-adjacent artists like Neil Young, Bob Dylan, the Eagles, the Sadies, etc. I think it's more fun to focus predominantly on the unaffiliated to country artists that put out the most honky-tonk albums. So the albums on this list either need to sound really country or the song selection needs to be really country for it to be eligible. These are the top 10 contributions by non-country artists ranked in the order of not who sold the most records or who was the most popular, but who did it the best artistically and who actually made the best country record. Now, if you completely disagree with this list, you hate my taste in music, be sure to give me an earful in the comments and subscribe so you can correct the mistakes I make in the future videos as well. That would be really helpful, actually. And I'm going to start with an honorable mention for Nancy Sinatra's Country My Way from 1967, produced by Lee Hazelwood, her longtime collaborator. This album doesn't quite make the list for me because while she cuts a pretty good selection of like historically great country tracks, it's not really a must-have record musically. I will say that it's a cool moment actually in country music history. Buddy Emmons on steel guitar, you got Buck Trent on a banjo, Buddy Harman on drums, Charlie McCoy, harmonica. And I mention this as an honorable mention because for me this record actually beats out every attempt at a country record by Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Bing Crosby, Nat King Cole combined. Now, if you're wondering how the fuck that's possible, well, you got to go back and listen to those records. You'll be hard pressed to find anything that sounds remotely country on any of their country records. It's like all big band production stuff. I mean, this Nancy Sinatra album has Buddy Emmons on it. It's the only one that has like a steel guitar. It actually has Appalachian instruments on it. So yeah, for me, this is shout out to Nancy Sinatra. Right into it, here we go. Starting off at number 10, Jimmy Buffett, Living and Dying in 3/4 Time, 1974. This is a really good album. Possibly the only billionaire on the list. Jimmy Buffett was once a Nashville-based songwriter. He literally created a subgenre that didn't exist before. So when you think of Kenny Chesney, Zac Brown Band, I mean, they have Jimmy Buffett to thank for their career trajectory. Kind of a hilarious side note of Jimmy Buffett's music career is that he didn't win his first award in music until 2007, and it was a country music award. And he was a half a billionaire by that point already. We got a song called Brand New Country Star.
Well, he outgrew his sequin suit, sold his Trailways bus, let his hair get a little too long, DuckTales bit the dust.
Honky Tonk piano,
Custom made,
steel guitar,
Berlin
check.
blade, guitar slipped from his hand, and in its place a new electrical one he had flown in from Japan. Cheese and cheeseburger eating, abandoned Sunday meeting, brand new country star. He rides around in a Lincoln Continental, no steer horns on his car. Oh, the record men say he's living in, they're gonna spin him right to the top. Yeah, he's a hot Roman candle from the Texas Panhandle. He
This one's available on vinyl, cassette, 8-track, and online streaming, YouTube Music, etc. Okay, number 9, John Scofield, Country for Old Men. Now this is a jazz album through and through, so I'm kind of cheating my own rules a little bit already here. However, I put it on the list because it's that good. We got Bartender's Blues, Wildwood Flower, Mama Tried, Jolene, and John Scofield, legendary jazz guitarist, once a member of Miles Davis band, so he's very much outside the country field altogether. This record is the 2016 winner of the Grammy for Best Jazz Instrumental Album. I'm going to give you a little sample because you must be curious by now what this record sounds like. Here's Wildwood Flower. Yeah. So this is 2016. This record came out. It's available on CD only. I mean online, of course, as well. You can get it right here on YouTube Music. Okay, moving on. Number 8 on the list. This is Bahamas, Bootcut. This one's released on Brushfire Records. It's from East Coast of Canada, and he's making his way into the top 10 in this very non-country country artists album list. All original material. It's just a straight up alt country honky tonk sounding record.
And I'm hoping that you're having a good time. Over the dinner and the conversation, there's some musical inspiration. That's just me working on my guitar. Working now. Doesn't bother me none if it don't sound nice. If I play a wrong note, I just play the wrong note twice. I'm happy working on my guitar.
I'm not going to break down the whole history of Bahamas' career here, but basically what you're going to want to do is just go out and immediately get this record. Yeah, he doesn't really have any connection to country music prior to this. I mean, just so you know, he's got Vince Gill playing some Telecaster with him, playing lead guitar. He's got Kenny Rogers, steel guitar player, Russ Paul sitting in. He's got Dave Rowe, honky-tonk legend, on bass, Sammy Bush on mandolin, and fucking Mickey Raphael on the harmonica. So, I mean, how does that make you feel, right? I mean, it probably makes you wish you were making a country record with that lineup right there. And just this month, this record was nominated for Canadian Country Music Award for Alternative Country Album of the Year. Rolling Stone magazine did a feature on the album. The title of the article is How Bahamas, a country indie rock artist, made one of Nashville's most country albums. Pretty much how you're gonna feel when you listen to this record. Available on vinyl, CD, and YouTube Music, coming in at number 8. Coming in at number 7, we have Jonathan Goes Country. That's Jonathan Richman. Now look, I know some of you might be thinking, oh my God, but what about this record and that record? Who the f is this guy? Yeah, big time. I had no previous knowledge of this album whatsoever, so it had to go a long way to earn a number 7 spot here on this list, right? I mean, I had to pick it over much more famous country themed albums have been released. The album cover here is amazing. This is probably the most amazing artwork we've seen yet. So Jonathan Richman, another guy with a long backstory that most of you probably don't want to sit through here, so this is a condensed version. He's a bit of an underground punk rock legend. He starts releasing his own solo material, and that's kind of what leads us up to this fucking cult classic here. Much like the Bahamas record, it's the originals that really carry this album. And yeah, for all you country purists, we have a few covers as well. The record ends with a cover of a pretty legendary Porter Wagoner tune called Satisfied Mind. I'm gonna play a little sample here. You're not gonna believe how fucking country this album is. Since She Started to Ride. We have Tom Brumley sitting in on the steel guitar there. I mean, I don't know of any other artist that Tom Brumley's played with aside from, you know, Buck Owens. But I mean, he's an original buckaroo, and he just shows up randomly on this record that's like from Mars, right? If you like your country western music a little outside the box and a little bit twisted, this could be a game changer record for you for sure. It's available on vinyl. It's available as a reissue, I should say, on vinyl on Kraft Records. And it's available on cassette as well. That would be cool. What a cool cassette to have that would be. It's here on YouTube Music too. You can check it out. Number 6. Here's a record that everybody's heard of, finally. Elvis Costello, Almost Blue. This is the only record on this list that came out the year I was born. 1981. And it was recorded by Billy Sherrill. It was made in Nashville. This album includes one of the most underappreciated classic country songs all time, From Brown to Blue. Do you guys know that song? We should listen to a little bit of it. The song written by Johnny Mathis and George Jones. This version might be my favorite version I know of, in fact. Yeah.
We stood there in the courthouse room, so close but far apart. You brought along a lawyer, and I brought a broken heart. The judge pronounced the words the way you wanted him to do. They changed your name from Brown to Jones, and mine from brown to blue.
And it doesn't feel like a country record. It feels like an Elvis Costello record that tips its hat to country music. But there are songs here by George Jones, Stonewall Jackson, Webb Pierce, Conway Twitty, among others. I think this is probably one of the most famous records on my list here at this point. But what do you guys think of it? What do you think and what do you feel when you listen to this record? Let me know in the comments if you can. There are some punk rock feels here, which is actually a very unlikely common theme throughout the list. This one's available on vinyl, cassette, and online. At this point, we're halfway through the list, so if you're enjoying this video, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, or tell me off in the comments if you don't like it. Just anything to get a little encouragement / gratification. Go a long way, help making more videos like this. Number 5, 12 Golden Country Greats, 1995, Ween. This is for sure the boldest record today. It's the only record with a parental advisory sticker on it. And I don't know about you, but the house that I grew up in, if you had a parental advisory sticker on a CD or cassette laying around, you want to hide that record. You definitely want to hide that record. All right. Ween, 12 Great Country Hits, amazing album title. Considering there's only 10 songs on the record, some of the other artists on this list actually, they're gonna flirt on and off with country throughout their career, but one and done here. That's it for Ween. Elektra Records put this out with Ben Vaughn producing. You guys know Ben Vaughn, the many moods of Ben Vaughn. They're gonna go down to Bradley's Barn in Mount Juliet. The Jordanaires are doing background vocals. I mean, the actual Jordanaires that sang with Tennessee Ernie Ford are here on this album singing on songs like Piss Up a Rope, Japanese Cowboy and Help Me Scrape the Mucus Off My Brain. So, I mean, I know you guys, it's fucking hardcore. Like, the balls on this record are pretty huge, especially if you think of how triggered, you know, we are today, and you go back and look at the lyrics, listen to lyrics on this record, it's pretty wild. Like a Japanese cowboy or a brother on skates, like a blizzard in Georgia or a train running late. One of the great lines in country music history, period.
Like a Japanese cowboy or a brother on skates, like a blizzard in Georgia or a train running late. I call out your name, girl, in the heat of the night, and nobody answers, 'cause something ain't right. Breakfast at Shawnee's at $2.99.
Pig Robbins at the piano.
Save me some money.
You can hate this record, but you cannot deny Ween #5 spot. Here's the list of session musicians. Pete Wade, Dobro, Russ Hicks on the pedal steel. We got Buddy Spicher on the fiddle, Pig Robbins, Charlie McCoy, Buddy Harman, Bobby Bradley, and Ben Vaughn producing. So this is the most star-studded lineup so far on of any album, and this is a record you gotta have, I think. 12 great country hits by Ween, available on vinyl, CD, cassette, and you can stream it right here on YouTube Music when you're done watching this video. #4, we got to check out a man who's in the Country Music Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, 18 Grammy Awards. He's in the Grammy Hall of Fame. Rolling Stone and Time Magazine call this one of the greatest albums of all time, #4, ladies and gentlemen. It's Ray Charles, Modern Sounds in Country Music. This is definitely the classiest album on the list. Truthfully, this is not a very country sounding record at all. I mean, it's a pop album for sure, but it's a collection of super country songs. With Ray Charles, you know, it's not just his phrasing, it's his delivery, it's his heart and his soul. When he sings these songs, you feel them. You feel them in a very real way, that more so than some of the original renditions of these songs, in fact. So now personally, I would really love to hear a Ray Charles record with country music on it as well, with the steel guitar, with some twin fiddles and stuff. That would be cool. Actually, let's pull up You Don't Know Me by Cindy Walker. For me, the #1 tune on the record, and it's the first song.
You give your hand to me, and then you say hello, and I can hardly speak. My heart is beating so, and anyone can tell. You think you know me well, but you don't know me. No, you don't know me. No, you don't know the one who dreams of you at night and longs to kiss your lips and longs to hold.
I get chills when I listen to that. Modern Sounds in Country Western Music. It's available on vinyl, 8-track, cassette, and YouTube Music. All right, we're down to the top 3 records now. So #3 on the list, 1968, Another Place, Another Time, Jerry Lee Lewis. Now, there are a handful of Jerry Lee country records out. I had to pick this one because it was the biggest. He had been silent for about a decade before this album came out. So for his career, this was a huge record. And he's got a whole new audience now entirely. Check this album out. Look how pissed off he is on the album cover. He's fucking not happy at all. He's not impressed. Probably the least country looking album cover, however, in the top 10. He went into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2022. He's a Grammy-winning artist, but there's no mistaking it. Jerry Lee Lewis, when you think of him, you don't think necessarily of country music. Not the first thing you think of. Also a controversial figure, And as fans of country music, we like our singers to be a bit controversial now and then, because I mean, that's pretty honky tonk, right? I'm a lonesome fugitive, get a little steel guitar.
Down every road, there's always one more city. I'm on the run, the highway is my home. I raised a lot of cane back in my younger days, while Mama used to pray my crops would fail. Now I'm a hunted fugitive with just two ways: outrun the law or spend my life in jail. I'd like to settle down, but they won't let me.
All right, we're almost there now. Number 2 on the list, 1973, The Byrds, Sweetheart of the Rodeo. I don't know what I could say about this album that hasn't already been said. This is a big time record that most people are familiar with. Some hardcore country fans probably didn't listen to this record, so you might go back and give this one a chance if it wasn't straight country enough for you the first time you remember hearing it. You're going to be surprised how honky-tonk this record actually is when you go back and try it again. This record is a country guitar masterpiece. It's recorded very hot, it's a bit sloppy, it's a bit busy, and really just a beer-soaked honky-tonk record if I ever heard one. Clarence White with the original B-Bender Telecaster, Lloyd Green, J.D. Mansour contributing on steel guitar. The Byrds intentionally made this record as country as they could, and all kinds of different country music being represented here. A bit of Appalachia, country folk, country rock for sure. It's got everything. Honky-tonk stuff. The only thing this album doesn't have is a really straightforward, down the middle, cutting vocal all the way through it. That's the one thing on this list that a few of these albums are missing. The clue that kind of gives away the fact that they're not country artists is probably that. You know, in country music, we really tend to like our country music traditionally to have a very distinct vocal that's very present on top of the music, either like a voice that cuts through like a Dwight Yoakam or a Hank Sr., many others, or like a low baritone, like a Johnny Cash, Tom T. Hall. You know, think of any country singer, Willie Nelson, Farron Young, Webb Pierce, they all cut through the music. The pronunciation is very clear. It's all about storytelling. A good number of the records on this list have a more alternative vocal style approach to them. So it's kind of the one thing that is like a giveaway, maybe in a blindfold test, if you just had to sit down and listen to record after record and say which one was like, you know, like the authentic country. What album are you expecting to be named number 1 here right now? Because you're watching this list and you're either completely out of ideas at this point, like I have no idea what it's going to be, or you think you got it figured out. You're like, well, it has to be this or this record. I'd be really interested to know where you guys get it pegged at this point. This is the number 1 non-country artist making a country record. I got it right here in my hands, actually, and I got 2 of them. Hank Wilson's back, and Hank Wilson Volume 2. This is Leon Russell's alter ego, his country alter ego, Hank Wilson. Here's a picture of him with Jerry Byrd. This one came out in 1973, and the second one came out in 84, is it? I think it's in 84. This is what the second one looks like. This is probably one of the greatest album covers right here. These albums are like some of the greatest honky-tonk records that were ever made, period. No one else did it as good as Leon Russell, and I don't think it's even close, to be honest. Volume 2 probably slightly edges out the original one for me, just because the production is richer and it's fuller, and this picture on the back is too much to deal with altogether. And I could put this in a top 10 all-time country records list probably as well. It's that good. 15 years listening to country music before I even discovered these albums, thanks to the country legend Bill Sador, From Musquodoboit, Nova Scotia, Rolling in My Sweet Baby's Arms, track number 1. Harold Bradley on the bass guitar.
Rolling my sweet baby's arms. Rolling my sweet baby's arms. Gonna lay around the shack till the mail train comes back. Rolling my sweet baby's arms. Hey, I ain't gonna work on no railroad. I ain't gonna work down on the farm. I'm gonna lay around this shack till the mail train comes back. Then I'm gonna roll in my sweet baby's arms. Roll in my sweet baby's arms.
Charlie McCoy.
Roll in my sweet baby's arms. Lay around the shack till the mail train comes back. Then roll in my sweet baby's arms.
Yeah. How about She Thinks I Still Care? Let's put a little sample of that in here. Pete Drake on the steel guitar.
Just because I asked a friend about her, just because I spoke her name somewhere, just because I rang her number by mistake today, she thinks I still care. And
Yeah.
just because I haunt the same.
This is recorded at Bradley's Barn in Mount Juliet. Leon Russell said that the Hank Wilson character came about on a road trip. He was driving from LA and he stopped at a truck stop that had like about 500 country tapes for sale, and he bought like a whole whack of them, just listened to them on the way back to Tulsa. There's actually 4 of these Hank Wilson albums out. There's a Newgrass one that came out as the 3rd one, and then the 4th one came out in the 90s. It's kind of like these ones here. It's all honky-tonk classic country stuff. I think the production on volume 2 it's just one of the best country records you can get your hands on. There were copies of this record around, and I would love to know what you guys think. How familiar are you with these albums? For me, it took me over a decade of collecting country music before I discovered these records. And these albums in particular are the kind of records that inspired me to start up this channel. Nowhere else in 2024 are you gonna hear anybody talking about these records. That's why I'm here doing it. But at the end of the day, Leon Russell, definitely not really a country music artist. He was definitely an outsider. He became an insider in part because of making these records. And thank God he did, because, you know, as I said, it's some of the greatest country music records that were made. Especially if you're a fan of the steel guitar, triple fiddles, the sweet 70s classic country sound. Hank Wilson with some seriously honky-tonk music. If there's an album that you think should have been on this list for sure, please tell me in the comments. I'd love to know what that is. And that's it for this video. We will see you guys next time. And keep it country and keep on coming back. We'll see you soon.